and Farrah. Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Man, y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now has the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off Pritchard Road. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hen. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It feels to me, Tony, like this is a big day on Jaguars Today. It feels that way. It's Mock Draft Wednesday, which is always fun, but we've got Matt Miller, one of the best in the business in the draft space, as some might refer to it, joining us coming up today. How do you feel about your latest iteration of your mock draft?
That's fine.
It's fine? Not one to write home about?
No, it was funny. I know we were discussing it right before we came into the studio this morning, right? Like some of the mock draft things that were going on. And I had the opportunity to do something similar to what you did. And I got 3 or 4 rounds into it, and I was like, what am I doing? I was like, none of this is real.
Yeah.
Like, I could trade down, and I did, like in one, and I traded down, and then I got another offer. I was like, I could do that. I was like, no. Like, in my own head, I kind of had to put the brakes on and said, I'll restart it and just go to 5. And I'm with you. Like, when I am doing the mock drafts now, I wait for the 2 blue chip guys to be off. If I'm starting up one of these mock drafts and one of those 2 guys is still there, I'm like, restart it.
Right. If Hunter's there, I'm hitting reset.
Yeah, restart it. And it's not because I wouldn't take them if they were there. If they were available, it's like easy.
Yes, I'm trying. Right. At least from that standpoint, if Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter aren't gone, I'm hitting reset every time. Whoever that 4th guy is, Shador Sanders, fine. Offensive lineman, fine.
Yeah.
Mason Graham.
Yeah,
I've seen.
Because I saw one of them yesterday because I did have to reset it 3 or 4 times, and one of them it had Genty and one of the offensive linemen, and I think Ted McMillan went in the top 4, and I was like, what is this? Like, that's just absurd.
You could see, like, how randomly it might throw one of those guys in there, but all of them in the same one, that gets a little much.
Yeah, it almost got to a point where I kept getting Kenneth Grant was still available at 36, and I'm like, it's not impossible, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Right. Like in my head, it's almost like I'm tempted, even when I get to 36 and he's still there, it's like, I know this is what I would do. Right? Like, I know that it's the argument for why you don't go Graham at 5. I know that's the argument. Or do you
take them both?
Right. Like, and that's one of those things that's in my head. I'm not totally against it if that's what happens on the actual draft day, but I'm like, I don't feel like this is realistic enough.
Well, let me tell you what happened with me yesterday. You were talking about, like, moving back well beyond, like, my preferred move backs are with the Jets or the Saints, right? I'd like to stay in that elite
I'm very
tier.
Comfortable going further because of what I would target.
Because you're looking at, like, a wide receiver. So I said to myself, well, if the opportunity arises, let me see what I can do here. Like, just putting aside, would I rather have Mason Graham than a guy at pick 20? Yes, but it's not just pick 20 that you're getting. Like, in this mock that we'll get into all the particulars later, but in this mock, the usual suspects went off the board. As a matter of fact, I actually saved the first. Here's how it went. Cam Ward 1, Abdul Carter 2, Mason Graham 3, and then Travis Hunter. Not impossible.
No.
Right? I mean, so Mason Graham's off the board. What do you do if you're conditioned as a Jags fan supporter to think Mason Graham's the safe pick. He's the automatic pick. Now he's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this scenario, the Bears offered me their second-round pick to move up from 10 to 5, which is about good value.
Yep.
They wanted their offensive lineman a choice. Every offensive lineman was there, and they took Membo. In a lot of mocks, you see Membo going to the Jets.
Yeah.
So if you want that guy, if you want the tackle, they've rebuilt the interior of their offensive line. If you want that young tackle, not absurd that somebody would trade up for an offensive lineman. So I said, all right, let me take this and see what it looks like when I get to 10. Well, Will Johnson went 6, which was obviously a surprise, but there was a time when Will Johnson was a lock for the top 10.
Yeah.
Shador Sanders went to the Jets. Calvin Banks and Will Campbell back-to-back at 8 and 9. And so Genty is sitting there. And I could have taken Genty, but the Broncos said, well, give us 10 in your fourth rounder, 107, and we'll give you 20, our second, and a second in 2026. And I'm like, I don't know if they do it, but everyone says that the Broncos are, you could pencil in for Omarion Hampton as the kind of the consolation prize at running back at 20 if he makes it that far.
Genty's available.
And Genty's available, and they decide, all right, let's be aggressive and go up and get this guy and make the offense about him. So I did pick up extra draft capital. Is that realistic, unrealistic? Who knows what happens on draft day?
No, there's no way to really know. And again, we're doing mock drafts, and they're kind of a thought experiment, if nothing else.
Yes.
Right? So it's not that it's not fun. I just wasn't comfortable doing it myself.
I gotcha.
You know, when I was going through the mock draft yesterday, because it's why I had it at number 1, right? Like, I had Mason Graham at number 2 on our list of top 5 yesterday, trading down somewhere in that range where I am picking up 3 and 4 day 2 picks to make that kind of move. It's why I had it where I had it on my top 5. It is the ideal. And I know if they can get something like that done, if the opportunity does open up for them to get something like that done, the things that they could do with that extra ammunition, I am very much in favor of being able to pull the trigger on that kind of thing happening. I think it's very low percentage, like 1-2% chance of that kind of thing happening actually in the draft. So yesterday, just the mood I was in while I was doing the mock draft, I was like, I could do that. I could do the thought experiment of this is kind of my ideal kind of thing in our top 5 that we had just gone through earlier that day. And I started doing it. I was like, for whatever reason, it just hit me weird. I was like, no, I'll just restart it.
Well, let me tell you.
And I wound up going Graham again at 5, but I'm okay with
that. I had one that was extreme enough that even I restarted. I traded completely out of the first round and got all this draft. Like, I moved my way back. Yeah. And I sat there and I looked and I got Josh Simmons out of Ohio State, the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Knowing I was going to pick like 2 picks later and there were defensive tackles that I could take the leftover if necessary. Right. And it really just kind of made me start getting in a different headspace of, you know what? I don't have to have Mason Graham. I don't have to even have one of these half dozen guys that we're focused in on. I'd rather have a good player in the middle of round 1.
I get it.
It doesn't have to be wide receiver, though. Like, I know that's your
That's more where my angle
design.
Is.
You know, we'll get into those in more detail in hour number 2. Field Yates has a 2-round mock out, and Dylan Denmark's guy, Trey Amos, goes in the second round there after Mason Graham was the chalky pick at number 5. How you feeling this morning, Coach?
I'm feeling a lot better than I thought I would be.
Really?
Put it to you that way.
No, like groin muscle strains or hamstrings or anything?
I did see, I might have popped a blood vessel in my quad because I looked down last night and it was my quad was like black and blue for a little bit.
Like a Brett Favre style, man. You ever see those pictures of Favre?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Just look up Brett Favre, like, thigh bruise or something like that. Like the whole back of his leg was purple, like deep purple.
I heard they sprung a 100 into a 400 on you. Is that what happened?
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah. Okay, I've seen his. This is JJ Watt. Yeah, we were supposed to run a 4x1. I was like, all right, whatever. And then we get later, we're like, hey, we're gonna run a 4x4. I'm like, all right, I ain't done this in a while, but okay. And I actually ran with the kid. It was we actually ran with the high school team from Baker County, and that's why I ran with him stride for stride for most of the race. So I was proud of that.
Did you warm up? Did you stretch? Nothing.
Not even.
Just went out there. You're still young enough that you think you can get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started stretching, playing pickup basketball, Tone, and thinking, my gosh, have I gotten old? Like, and I'm talking about just like doing a few calf stretches.
Yeah.
lean into the post, whatever, and stretch out your calf. I mean, a total of like 30 seconds. And I thought, man, this is a sign of rapid decline in my body. But I should have done more of it over the years, probably. But regardless, yeah, Brett Favre's whole leg was purple, man, from the knee up.
Yeah, J.J. Watt has one. The first thing that popped up on Google, it's his whole, basically from his knee all the way up to his hip.
There you go.
That's ridiculous.
It's the price of paying football or playing football. You're paying with your health. Apparently, of course, also the price is millions of dollars coming your way. All right, today we've got a non-draft related question for you, and it's falling into two categories. The Jags, Liam Cohen mentioning that they have talked with Travon Walker. I don't know how deep those discussions have gone, but I think they probably recognize he's a piece that they want to keep around for the long term. 25 years old, coming off double-digit sack seasons back-to-back. Ascending player, all that good stuff. But maybe they want to get a look at him under their system with Anthony Campanile, or maybe not, right? Maybe they're willing to do an extension right now. Maybe they're just testing the water. So we asked you today, how do you think things will go between Trayvon and the team when it comes to getting a contract extension done? And the four options we gave you in today's poll, they will get an extension done this offseason. Okay, that's option one, meaning by week one, by the first game of the year, Travon Walker will be a newly extended Jacksonville Jaguar. Option two, he'll get an extension in the future. Now, I didn't say next offseason because this regime is not necessarily tied to the Trent Baalke thought that you can't negotiate during the year. So anytime after week one, could come in season, could come next season. Option three, he leaves after his rookie deal. Keep it in mind, the rookie deal includes a fifth-year option, right? So Trayvon Walker going into his fourth season, the Jags would undoubtedly pick up his fifth-year option. And so they'll have him under contract for a couple more years, but maybe at the end of that, they want to replace him with cheaper draft capital, something like that. Or option four, he ends up with the franchise tag. In other words, somewhere kind of in that middle ground that he gets the fifth-year option, they tag him maybe for a year, and then maybe he walks after that, or maybe not. But those are your options in today's poll, and you can give us a little more detail if you want to in your responses when you hit us up today. You can do that in a variety of ways on the phone lines at 641-1010. That same number for the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat or get on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
With that, game on.
All right, indeed. We're about maybe 15 minutes away from Matt Miller of the ESPN joining us. We'll get into our 7-round mocks in hour number 2. We'll take a look at what Field Yates is projecting in the early part of the NFL draft from ESPN as his 2-round mock coming out this morning as well. And a lot more on the way. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark just kicking things off on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Dan Hicken.
That was great! Oh, come on, you guys. It was just a guy up here with a guitar singing his heart out. You guys.
Jeff Prosser.
Okay, are you done now? Huh?
The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99 and get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified and take 25% off all services. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them Hicken or 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World,
simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Take a radio boat ride with Captain Cabin on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Wheeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services and Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Tired of supermarket produce that's traveled thousands of miles before you get it? Treat your family to farm-fresh, Florida-grown fruits and veggies delivered right to your home with Doorbell Farms. No supply chain issues or questionable origins, just seasonal produce handpicked from local farmers. Subscribe monthly and enjoy the best local farm produce delivered right to you. Sign up now at doorbellfarms.com, connecting real people to real family farms. Doorbellfarms.com.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Get up on it.
Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Tone, you're not an old guy, but you remember the expression that children should be seen and not heard?
Yes.
Right? I feel that in large part that should apply to sports commissioner as well.
Yeah.
You're a figurehead. We don't need you putting your thumb on the scale for how the game's going to be played. I don't quite understand that.
Like, if they're going to be talking in public about any of these decisions being made, it should be after the decision is made and them explaining the rationale of the league that this is the direction we're going. That's your job.
Clearly, Roger Goodell, and then you could read the league, wants the tush push banned. I mean, it's clear what Roger Goodell is talking about. The fact that they say there are only 16 votes right now that they have, sometimes they spin that as like, wow, 16 people want to ban the tush push. It takes 24.
Yeah.
Out of 32. Takes 3/4. And the fact that they're tabling it right now, there's a big feeling that they're trying to just write the language in a way that will convince, nudge, strong arm enough other owners into joining whatever Raj wants. Roger Goodell said, I think there are safety issues being considered with the tush push. I think there are. We have very little data, but we see the potential risk. So you don't know if there's a safety issue with the tush push. But you think there may be a potential issue because somebody could get hurt. Well, that's the same on every play in the NFL. I'm not saying there aren't plays that are more dangerous than other ones, right? And you know, like along the way, you know, clothesline tackles, I always go back to that, were legal ones. They're banned, right? And there are some common sense things, but we don't know that this is any more dangerous than any other play because we haven't had this raft of injuries. In fact, I'm really surprised because we talked about it right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Chris Jones hurt his neck, did something. Go back and watch. He tried to stop it, and he put his body in there like sideways, right? And he got all jammed in there, and they were showing him on the bench kind of grimacing, and the announcers were like, oh, he looks mad. No, he looks like he just hurt his neck because he just got twisted up in this pile of bodies.
Tried a different way to defend this play, and he paid the price on it.
I am shocked that hasn't been a major talking point. Like, here's an example. This is what can happen. It's on the biggest stage, and no one is using that as an example. I personally don't mind that much one way or the other. Personally, if I was going to vote for it, I wouldn't vote to ban it. I'd just leave it.
Yeah.
Okay? But if they ban it, it's not going to impact my life one iota. It's just the fact that Goodell is just, you know, blowing the sails in one particular direction here. I felt like he's the commissioner.
Stay out of it.
Right. Let the owners decide what they want to do and then enact it. And then, you know, spin the owners' side of things right there, but it just feels like he's twisting arms at this point in time.
It does.
Because he doesn't like
I don't
the
understand
tush
it. Like, from his perspective, I don't understand why
Is it
he would
aesthetics?
do this. Right. Like,
I mean, is it unfair because only one or two teams have figured out a way to execute it consistently?
Yeah.
Well,
they're better at it.
Good for them.
Yeah.
We had a 7-foot wide receiver who kept, you know, catching jump balls in the end zone.
Yeah.
Are we going to ban that somehow?
There's a very good chance. Look, they're not going to have the same personnel forever in Philadelphia.
No.
You know, the next set of personnel they get may not be nearly as qualified to pull off this play as they currently are. So the play should be banned because they're good at it now. Like, that from that perspective, it doesn't make any sense. But, you know,
did they run it with Kenny Pickett at all?
I don't remember.
Year? I don't either.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, or if they pulled like a tight end in, like a bigger body, you know, to do that kind of thing. Like, Hurts is uniquely qualified because of the power in his legs. Like, he just is. He's uniquely qualified to do that kind of thing. Philadelphia shouldn't be punished because their quarterback can do that.
Philadelphia's quarterback depth chart right now, what do you got behind Jalen Hurts?
I do not know.
Tanner McKee, right, who's there. He's a big guy, 6'6", 230.
Yeah.
But those long guys don't necessarily have the leg drive sometimes of others. And then they acquired Dorian Thompson-Robinson from Cleveland this offseason.
Yeah, I remember that now.
But,
yeah.
like, so he's an athletic guy, but is he a guy, you know, like Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds or whatever they say. He's 6'2", 203, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and there's a good chance he won't even be active on game day.
Right.
So like if they went to that situation, would they operate differently? I don't know. Maybe they turn around and hand it to Saquon Barkley and have a higher success rate than most teams would. It just, I don't know. I just don't like come and go. I don't care that much. It's just like it feels like this is being orchestrated to go a certain way. And of this moment, the best proposal that they've come up with, and I presume it's the best because they've had the whole offseason to get here, is one that only half the owners can get behind. So, yes, there are 16 owners in favor of banning it. There are 16 that are not at the same time, right? There's equal weight, and it just feels like we're going to keep rewriting this until it gets to a point where they're going to accept it and we're going to get this play out of the game, even if it has further unintended consequences. Because, part of the way this was written is you can't immediately push after the snap. Well, that's a lot of subjectivity. What's immediate? Half second, a second? Like, how much do I need to hesitate before I get in there and push? So if you're banning all pushing of offensive players, are we going to have guys that are running down the field and are about to get tackled and somebody shoves them from behind like 20 yards down the field? You know what I mean? Those kind of plays happen a lot. Are we going to go back to the 2005 and earlier standard of no pushing? The reason they got rid of it is because those plays weren't called. But now, if you see that and you're Philadelphia, you're going to be beside yourself. Like, all they're trying to do, just put yourself in their position. And I know as a Jaguar fan, you don't care what the Eagles think, and I get that. But if something the Jags figured out was specifically targeted, they were the only ones who could perfect it because they had just the exact right personnel to pull that off, you'd be
furious,
going crazy.
If the league came after that play specifically because you were really good at it, you'd be furious.
Yes. So, I mean, it's
when you can't really point to it being illegal on any other term. We have to create the rule to make it illegal
or unsafe.
Yeah.
Like, I get the idea that you're putting a lot of massive bodies in there. How's it much different than, I'm a goal line back, and a linebacker's trying to time it up and dive over the top and meet me in midair and have this maybe helmet-to-helmet collision right above the line of scrimmage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't feel at all to be a safety issue to me. It's a competitive issue in that they feel like only one team is perfect, near perfect at it. I get it. The Jags stopped it twice last year, but the Eagles are near perfect at it. And Buffalo's really good at it, and they're basically the only ones. Well, get a bigger quarterback then. I don't know what to tell you.
Or have someone else run the play for you.
Right.
Like
which Mark Andrews does on occasion for Baltimore.
Yeah, because why would you put Lamar Jackson in that situation?
Exactly.
But if they were going to create rules to say Lamar Jackson isn't allowed to scramble around for 5 seconds, then take off like a shot. Right, like that's not fair.
Right, because he's really, but seriously, he's really good at that, right? It'd be like saying, all right, you have to throw the ball within X amount of time from the snap. Or, you know what I mean? Like you have to, or you have to, if you're going to run, you have to run within 3 seconds of the snap or whatever. I mean, it'd be ludicrous.
Yeah.
And this is what it feels like.
It works for them. Not everybody else can do it. That's a shame that you can't figure out how to do it. Figure out how to stop it.
If it weren't for Goodell trying to tilt the playing field here, I don't think I'd even. It'll be like, all right, tell me what happens in a month when you reconvene and vote on this again. I don't really care all that much.
Like the big deal is him saying anything about it.
Yes,
like that's the big deal here. Like
him basically taking a side and pushing that, so whichever side it is in the whole thing. Anyway, in the end, it won't impact the Jags a whole lot, I don't think. Regardless of which way it goes, impact Philadelphia potentially, but. And that's the thing, only one team is Philadelphia. But I do think there are some other owners, coaching staffs out there to see it as inherently unfair that they perfected a legal play, and now you're trying to change it simply because of their success.
That's why the rule is 24 out of 32, to protect the owners from themselves doing something stupid to screw up the game.
Agreed. All right, you can vote today. How do you think things will go between Trayvon Walker and the Jags when it comes to getting a contract extension done? It's your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Get an extension this offseason, sometime in the future. He'll leave after his rookie deal, or he ends up with the franchise tag a few years down the road. Those are your 4 options in today's poll. Matt Miller from ESPN coming up on the other side, talking draft with you here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. We saw the games.
A tremendous return. It's first and goal, Jacksonville.
And we love to talk about it.
Really changed the course of the game.
1010XL.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it? Or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
It's Awaken 180 Weight Loss Wednesday
On Jaguars Today.
All right, it's Baloo. Let's get real for a minute. Losing weight isn't exactly easy, especially when your life involves being surrounded by good food at every event imaginable. Believe me, I get it. But thanks to Awaken 180, I'm already down 10 pounds, feeling sharper, more energized, and never hungry. This isn't some juice diet or starving yourself nonsense. I'm eating food that tastes great, even when I'm out on the road. Here's the beauty. Awaken 180 gives you the game plan to handle real-life situations. I've been hitting plenty of events lately, temptation everywhere, and I've managed to stay on track effortlessly. That's huge. 10 pounds down, energy way up, hunger totally controlled. So if you're tired of carrying around extra weight, tired of diets that don't work, it's time to check out Awaken 180. Take it from me, hacker Dempsey Hayes, basically everyone. It's easy. It works and it's real. Do what we did and choose the solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it. And send them a Q and floral arrangement. ET here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of a quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at juneflowers.com.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
What NFL stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Green Bay's Lambeau Field has been used by the Packers since 1957, a span of over 60 years.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Family owned and managed for 20 plus years, Hidden Hills Golf Club boasts a unique and welcoming atmosphere. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to book your next round on our Arnold Palmer signature course. You'll be glad you did.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. Powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Mock Draft Wednesday on these parts, around these parts here on Jaguars Today. Matt Miller doesn't have a fresh one out there, Tony, but he does them fairly frequently. We love catching up with him when we get the opportunity from ESPN. And he joins us this morning, although his cohort, Field Yates, does have a fresh one out there today. Matt, good morning. Thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely, man. Hey, listen, I was looking at your insider story that you contributed to at late last week, and you had a little blurb on what you're hearing around the league on what the Giants will do with the third pick, which is obvious of great interest to us here in Jacksonville, because if they take Shedeur Sanders, it pushes down a player that we would like here. You wrote that a scout told you, quote, New York loving Shedeur is the worst kept secret in the league right now. How solid do you think that piece of intel is? Do you expect that if he's available to the Giants that they're going to pull the trigger on him?
Yeah, it's funny this time of year how you get information like that, right? And to see where it goes from that. But that is exactly what I was told, that New York loving Shedeur, worst kept secret in the league, and that the Giants had a presence at every Colorado home game this year in some form or fashion. So if I had to make that pick today, what I think will happen, it would be Shedeur Sanders. Now, I want to hedge a little bit here and tell you that it wasn't that long ago when we were talking about the number 3 overall pick, a month out, I would have said, it's going to be Trey Lance. Of course it's going to be Trey Lance. The Niners love Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and it ended up being Trey Lance, right? So in that draft, we all thought, hey, it's going to be Mac Jones, and it ended up being Trey Lance. So things can change somewhat fast down the stretch because you're getting FaceTime with players, you're bringing them in, you're figuring out who they are, what their strengths and weaknesses are. I think as of today, the Giants like Shedeur at 3, but I do want to say there's time for things to change. And I know, like, the games have already been played. We've already been through the combine. Shedeur still has his pro day coming up. But there is a lot of time for things to change because of those private workouts and interviews.
Matt, how much should they like Shedeur Sanders? Like, what's your true evaluation of where he should go off the board? I understand the need for quarterbacks, but what's his real value in your eyes?
And I like him. I think he's being a little bit overrated. I have him as my number 20 overall player with a comp to Jared Goff. That's his ceiling. I think his ceiling is Jared Goff. He's incredibly accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over. But what's his elite trait? He doesn't have size. He doesn't have arm strength. He doesn't have escapability. He's really good at a lot of things. I don't know that he's great at any one thing. And that's my holdup with him. Like, I love watching him play. I've seen him play in person. I've been around him. He plays the game with a ton of fire. He's poised. He's confident. But I don't know what his elite trait is. And you might say it's accuracy. But that Colorado offense, go back and watch how many times he's thrown to a guy who's standing there. There's not a lot of throwing guys open because of the way they played, because of how long he took in the pocket. He's throwing to a lot of spots, not really throwing a lot of guys open. So, I like his game, but I have not seen him play and thought that's a number 1 overall pick or that's a top 3 pick. And I know this is a down draft class to some degree, so you got to adjust for that. But again, he's my number 20 overall player. So I have a hard time with the talk that he's this, surefire top 5 pick.
Why would Jalen Walker make sense for the Jaguars at 5?
I mean, because he could do everything. That's one of my favorite players to draft. I love Jalen Walker. What can he not do, right? I mean, watch him against Texas. He's going to have 4 of those offensive linemen at Texas are going to get drafted, and the other one went back to school. He had 4 sacks against Texas and they couldn't stop him. He was all over the field. He just turned 21 years old. What he does coming off the edge, I think as a 3-4 outside linebacker, he could be very, very special. He's a little bit short-armed, but I thought the weight was good. He came in at 245 pounds. And a lot of folks are going to say, well, he only had 6.5 sacks. He only had 7 tackles for a loss. He didn't rush the quarterback as much as these other guys did. I mean, he was a situational pass rusher, and his pass rush win rate was one of the highest in the class. It's just a matter of, hey, he didn't get as many bites of the apple as some of the other guys did. So I'm a huge believer in his. I think, for Jacksonville, there's going to be that debate between, do you go with kind of the safe pick in Mason Graham, or do you go with the upside versatility of Jalen Walker? I think it's a hell of a debate. I like both of them. They're very, very different. But Jalen Walker is one of my absolute favorite players in the entire draft.
You mentioned outside linebacker in a 3-4. If the Jags are predominantly 4-3 and they have their 2 starting edge rushers, right? So he'd be like a situational pass rusher. Is there enough value? Does he play full-time on early downs as a linebacker in a 4-3?
I think he could. Yeah, I think you look at what Micah Parsons did, and I know that comp is probably, but he's getting tired of it. But what Micah did as a rookie, I think, is probably the method that you're looking at to say, okay, well, he could play some weak side or stack linebacker in a base 4-3. And the nice thing about Jalen is Georgia did drop him into coverage, so we've seen that. It's not like he's one of these guys you're completely projecting what that's going to look like. No, we saw it, and he played well in coverage. In fact, early in the year, he was playing more in coverage than he was. He's super aware. He's got the short area quickness. He's agile. I don't think you would have any real drop-off if you're playing him as more of a linebacker on first down.
It sounds like, and it's not unusual for the conversation about Mason Graham being the solid floor, right? Like there's a solid expectation of what he could be. And Jalen Walker, it's volatile, right? The results that you could get out of him are more volatile. Who in your mind is the biggest boom or bust prospect in this draft class?
Oh, wow. I mean, Travis Hunter is definitely up there. And I think some of that's going to come down to usage, if you try to do too much. And I go back to, we haven't seen a lot of guys try to do what Travis does at all. But what we have seen is guys come in on defense, like Isaiah Simmons, players like that, who they try to, kind of moonlight at a couple different spots on defense. And I know we just talked about Jalen Walker, Micah Parsons doing a little bit of this. But guys who don't have a home sometimes struggle in the NFL. And I think with Travis Hunter, that's going to be the obstacle for him. As much as I love him as a player, as much as I am wowed by his work ethic and his love of the game, trying to do too much, I think, will hold him back early. And I would caution against that. The team that drafts him, I do hope they say, let's get good at one thing before we try out another. If it's the Browns and they're going to use him at wide receiver first and foremost, let's get good at that. And then maybe play a little corner. If it's the Patriots and he's going to play corner first, let's make sure we got that locked down before we start running routes. And some of the beauty of Travis Hunter is what he can do on both sides of the ball, obviously. But I do think as a guy who's going to be drafted in the top 4, there is absolutely a boom or bust factor there with a smaller guy, 6'1", 188, who is probably a low 4.4 speed guy, right? Who's just electric, but he's got to find a home in the NFL.
Yeah, if he goes top 4, by the way, he's a bust. If he goes 5, he's going to be a superstar. Just trying to project that out there, wish casting. All right, let's presume Jags don't get Travis Hunter. The value isn't there at 36. Who are some wide receivers that you think would fit opposite Brian Thomas Jr. beginning at pick 70 that would be available somewhere in the 3rd round?
Yeah, it's a good receiver class in that area. I know we've kind of talked down on this receiver class. I like it in this range. Kyle Williams from Washington State was the best receiver at the Senior Bowl in terms of route running, quickness at the line of scrimmage. I mean, his footwork is fantastic. He gets open. Brian Thomas, such a big receiver, such a great deep threat. Having a Kyle Williams just tearing folks up on underneath routes would be so much fun to watch. I would put Jalen Royals from Utah State in that range as well. He is built, thicker body, on lower body. I'm not saying he's Deebo Samuel, but he's kind of built that way. If you think about he's almost built like a running back. It allows him to stay strict on his routes. He's not going to get bumped off by coverage. He can play in the slot. He can be moved around in motion. Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech would be someone that fits that mold. It's actually a really good draft for that type of player, right? You've got your guy, you got your number one, you got your X. If you want to find your Z and you want to find your Y, this is a good year for that because there are a lot of those guys that are just super quick. They're going to chew up yards underneath. They're going to be able to work, through pressure, through contact, and be a good number 2 receiver in the NFL.
With Jack Bech and Jaden Higgins, are they likely to be off the board somewhere in between the Jags' second and third pick if they don't move around 36 and 70? Are they coming off somewhere in that mid to late second round range, or is that too rich for your blood?
I think Jaden Higgins could come off late first. Let's see what happens with the run on receivers. And let's say the pick right after you guys, the Raiders. Let's say Tedero McMillan goes there.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe Matthew Golden goes 12. We could see a run on receiver that gets Jaden Higgins into the late first round. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But that's kind of the marker to see, like, where does the first receiver come off the board? And then because I think we could see in the teams, Seattle, Cincinnati could grab another receiver. And then those playoff teams, they're gonna value receivers because they need cheap labor, right? So I could see Jaden Higgins going, if not late first, really early second. Jack Bech, probably middle to late second round. He's a player teams just love. Like, they love the makeup, what he does as a route runner, how physical he is underneath. Like, he's one of those dudes that you're just going to have a lot of people banging the table for him as a pick when you get into the second round. And it's like, hey, our board's getting a little wiped out. We know this guy's going to be a stud just day one. He's going to be awesome for us, and that's going to boost his value.
Who is your favorite edge prospect in this draft that's projected right now to go third round or beyond?
Ooh, that is a fun question. Probably Braden Swinson from LSU, and I think he's right in that third round range. But every time I watch him play, I end up moving him up the board a little bit. I like him more every time. He's got burst off the line. He plays with really good power. I think he could be, situational. He could stand up a little bit. He could play out wide. But again, just like I was saying with the receiver class, I actually really like this edge group, especially when we get into day 3. Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. I know he didn't test super well, but God, just when you watch South Carolina play, that dude played like he was on fire. Josiah Stewart from Michigan. He's a lot like on offense with Jack Bech, Josiah Stewart is, where I would jump on the table for him as a prospect. When you talk about character, leadership, the way he plays the game, an undersized dude who's just on fire against the run. So there's a lot of players like that are really easy to get excited about in the edge group on day 3.
Yeah, very interesting group. I find, look, we're not Matt Miller, trust us, but we've been trying to push ourselves to do 7-round mock drafts every week to familiarize ourselves with some of these players a little bit deeper on. And with that in mind, cornerback, the Jags went out there. They've solidified their nickel position. They do have Jarian Jones as an option opposite Tyson Campbell. So maybe they don't go very early in the draft, but when you get, let's say, into the 4th round, and you're looking for a corner that projects to develop into a consistent starter in the NFL, is this a good position to be looking for that late in the draft? And who are some names to keep an eye out for?
I think it's a little bit thin at corner this year, honestly. That was something that even doing the 7-round mock draft, I feel like I was reaching to grab guys because it thinned out on me pretty quickly at the corner group. I would put Kobe Bryant from Kansas in there, and he is a talker. He had a great last 2 seasons for the Jayhawks. Both their corners, Kobe and Melo Bryant, really, really good players. Noel Williams from Cal is a ball hawk. He's physical. He can play a little bit inside or outside. Zy Alexander from LSU would give you some of that size that you're looking for, but I would say it's a light year when it comes to corners, and I think we'll see that reflected. We'll probably see guys going a little bit earlier than some of the projections. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we see round 2 get a little bit full with corners just because teams are saying, gosh, we don't want to wait. Like, we could get a running back, a receiver, an edge. We like our day 3 chances. At corner this year, that's a spot where if I'm headed into round 4 without one, you're really looking at backup type players.
Will Campbell basically shrugged off the whole conversation about his arm measurements at his pro day. What kind of reaction have you heard about whatever has been going on with the player measurements that were performed at the Combine?
Well, whoever did it at the Combine did it wrong. That's the gist of it, because it's not just Will Campbell. It's every offensive lineman who was measured at the Combine has measured differently at a pro day or at an event like the Shrine Game or Senior Bowl. The only player whose arms got shorter was Armand Mimbo. which is really interesting, right? He was longer at the combine than he was at the Senior Bowl. Everyone else has been the opposite. So it is an issue. And in 15 years of doing this, guys, it's never been an issue before. This is really an outlier. The combine is usually your standard. That's the one that you look at of, okay, this is the steady. We know these dudes know what they're doing. The combine is, the fail-safe. This year has been different. So it's something where if you really care about arm length, you're going to bring Will Campbell in for a visit, and you're going to say, hey, while you're here, real quick, let's just pop the tape measure on this thing and see where we're at. Yeah, I think when you watch Will Campbell play, there are times where the arm length is an issue on tape. It is what it is. He makes up for it with his quickness. He makes up for it with his technique. He's a unique player. Teams are going to have to be okay with that. But, his production in the SEC the last 3 years should answer a lot of questions.
All right, last couple quick ones here from Matt Miller. Will Johnson, on your latest top 50 update, you had him ranked number 7. I feel like people are, I don't know if they're forgetting about him because he hasn't been able to work out. Is his stock in flux with decision makers? Should he be considered maybe the top pure corner after Travis Hunter in this draft? Where are you on Will Johnson out of Michigan?
Still love him. I don't know. I think this happens every year, guys, where people do, like you said, they almost forget. We over-evaluate. We really do. And I think groupthink is a big problem in the NFL and in the NFL draft industry as a whole. I'm trying real hard to stay out of that. And I think with Will Johnson, did he make some business decisions as a tackler this past year? Sure did. But, guys, I grew up watching Deion Sanders, and he made more business decisions as a tackler than anyone, and he's the greatest corner to ever do it. So I try to keep that context in mind, especially with guys who come into the year as top 10 prospects, and they're like, hey, the worst thing for me right now would be a bad injury, but a little bit safe. You get it. As long as we're able to flip that switch and turn it back on, I'm not worried about it. But, man, I love Will Johnson. I think he's a zone corner. That's what he's great at. He's really good at sitting back, reading the ball, making a break on it. I mean, he had 2 pick sixes in the limited time he played this year, right? Because of that. He can be a little over-aggressive, but I still like him. I think it's funny. It reminds me of Derek Stingley Jr., who that year was kind of the guy that was over-evaluated. It was like, he's got some injuries, and we don't know about it, and he goes number 3 overall, and now he's the highest-paid corner in the game. It's like sometimes how long the draft process is allows us to really over-evaluate these guys and overthink it. And I would say, Will Johnson is one of those guys this year, and there's several of them, but he's probably the headliner of that group.
At center, how many prospects do you think in this year's draft class could start day one for the team that drafts them?
So I like this center class. So I would say Gray Zabel, day one starter, without a doubt. Jared Wilson from Georgia, day one starter. Jonah Monheim from USC would be a day one starter. And I put Jake Majors from Texas in there as well. So 4 or 5. Drew Kendall from Boston College, potentially. It is a good center class. Not last year, I loved last year's center class, but this is a good year. I think we've got a handful of starters. Then there's other guys who could potentially play center, who haven't in college. I know there's some talk about Dylan Fairchild maybe playing center. There's definitely talk about Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. He could play everywhere up front. So it's a fun group for sure, and there's some good value in that round 4 range.
All right, interesting. Matt, we could do this all day. We know you've got other things to do, so we're not going to try to pull that one off. But hopefully maybe we can get you on one more time before the NFL draft. But regardless, certainly appreciate your time this morning. NFL Draft Scout, at NFL Draft Scout is where you'll find Matt on the X or Twitter platform. And, of course, all over ESPN, ESPN.com, doing great work covering the upcoming NFL draft. We appreciate your time this morning, Matt. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. There you go. That's just great stuff there with Matt Miller, Tony. And I think it'll be fun. We'll come back. Let's look a little bit at his latest top 50 because he doesn't have the quarterbacks in the top 5. Just because they're going to go there doesn't mean that's where he ranks them as prospects. And I do think it's kind of interesting to see as you see the names that are being talked about for the Jaguars, where he has them stacked compared to each other, not specifically for the Jags, but just as overall talents in this year's NFL draft. All right, we will come back. Tony will take us around the league. We'll dig into Matt Miller's top 50 for a quick peek, and then we'll unveil our our 7-round mocks for the week coming up in hour number 2 on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. There's something special about radio play-by-play. Always has been. In Jacksonville, your place for play-by-play is 1010XL.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Your yard's starting to look a little like a jungle? Well, it might be time for a little TLC. Or how about RTC, Russell Tree Care? At Russell Tree Care, they give your trees the perfect haircut. Whether it's trimming or removing, they'll make sure your yard looks its best, all while keeping safety as a top priority. Call Russell Tree Care today and let them take care of your trees. Russell Tree Care, 844-4Mr. Wood. That's 844-467-9663. Or visit RussellTreeCareLLC.com today. Your trees will thank you.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Awaken 180 weight loss.
Jaguars Today, Wednesday.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. In today's world of retail, how has a store like Underwoods stayed viable against the big national stores?
Frank, that's a question with a direct answer. At Underwoods, we've never aspired to be the biggest. What we've always tried to do is be the best. When you take this approach, there's some things that come to mind immediately, like fine quality merchandise bought by buyers that are experts, high levels of service delivered by staff that are helpful and know what they're doing. Then there's some things that people don't really think about at all, like the finer a gem, the more rare it is. And these gems are not mass producible because they were made by God millions of years ago. Because of that, there just aren't enough of these for the big multi-store retailers to buy and put into their merchandising schemes. So at Underwoods, we buy these finer, rarer gems and create jewelry pieces that the people in Jacksonville expect out of us.
When you want the best, it's Underwoods. Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Rick Ballou for Carlson Dental. You know, I've been telling you this for quite some time because it's true. I hate going to the dentist, or at least I used to hate going to the dentist. I had total anxiety, and then I tried sedation, light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation as well for cavities and root canals. Folks, it's an incredible experience. So don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Go to CarlsonDentalGroup.com. That's CarlsonDentalGroup.com for all of your dental needs.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island, or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Charles.
6.
Oh, so close. Betty for the steal.
What about the bank that helps you reach your financial goals? Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today.
Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
ET here, and it's time for the Taste of Golf at TPC Sawgrass, April 23rd. Join me for fine cuisine from chefs from the top golf clubs in our area. Craft cocktails, games, and unique auction items will be present. This is one of the most impactful charitable events in our area. Come network with a sophisticated audience who's passionate about golf and its values, while impacting the youth in our community. All proceeds benefit First Tee, North Florida. For tickets, go to tasteofgolf.com. Come on, somebody.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update. The Florida Gators may have been favored entering every game during the NCAA men's basketball tournament. However, they had often had to fight through adversity and make the plays needed to come back and seal their victories. Gators head coach Todd Golden believes the mentality of this team is unmatched with their do-or-die attitude.
Confidence, maturity, our ability to not get too high or too low. We've shown it twice already in the tournament. Obviously with the UConn game, pretty good comeback. Second half that way, and obviously, on Saturday against Tech, we had our back against the wall a couple times there. Last 5 minutes of the game, instead of letting our emotions get the best of us, or did a good job staying the course. Obviously, our guys, good job understanding now or never. Made every big play down the stretch. I just think again the consistency, the maturity, and their belief in each other is a big part of that.
The Gators travel to San Antonio to take on overall first-seeded Auburn Saturday in the Final Four round with tip-off at 6:09. Listen to the game live on 1010 AM, 92.5 FM. It's 81 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
On the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, Tony, after listening to Matt Miller, I now want Jalen Walker and a wide receiver in the third round. He'll sell you on anything, right? This is where you got to get him. There are a bunch of guys that could really help you there. We'll get to our 7-round mocks coming up here. I will note that, story out, just an item, that Mason Graham is going to visit the New England Patriots and the New Orleans Saints, because you can't be sure where he's going to come off the board. Mm-hmm. We all sit there and go, oh, don't worry. Worst comes to worst. Travis Hunter's gone. Abdul Carter's gone. Mason Graham, safe pick. And number 5, what if the Patriots take him? And sure. We may get into that as our question of the day tomorrow. What do you do? If you can't trade out, who's the player you pivot to if there's no Carter, Hunter, or Graham available for you, assuming Cam Ward goes number 1 and Shedeur Sanders doesn't create a market for somebody to come up and grab him?
Sure.
We don't know. Maybe somebody else will create that trade market, but I wonder if, man, I would not be a strict adherent to the chart. You know what I mean?
I don't think you can be this year.
Yeah.
I think in a typical year, that may be your kind of draft personality anyway, that you don't have to be necessarily so rigid with what you're getting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Right. But I think in a year like this, where there really are the 2 premier players, and then it's going to be the apple of whoever's eye, is essentially what's going to be coming off next in this draft. So
right.
Someone
and the consensus 3, who's Mason Graham,
right.
Kind of the consensus 3 is not there.
Right. So as I said this, I think last week, I think you have to be willing to sell it at a bit of a discount. And this year compared to a typical year at 5.
If someone's willing to come up and buy it.
Right.
And now that's why I still continue to think that Shedeur Sanders is the most likely guy to create that small trade back, as we went through our options yesterday in the Tuesday top 5. I think the Jets feeling that, hey, I'm not going to buy this Ashton Genty stuff. The Raiders aren't a running back away. They've got to get their quarterback of the future despite signing Geno Smith. We jump them. Or the Saints at 9 like him. There's talk the Saints like Jackson Dart a bunch, too. would they actually draft Jackson Dart in the top 10? They could probably get him at 9, probably. You see mocks that have Shedeur Sanders off the board, and if Matt Miller is right and what the scout told him is right, and they love Shedeur Sanders, we talked about this off the air the other day. You made the point, well, yeah, they went to every Colorado game. You know who else played there, right? Travis Hunter. Yeah. You're not only scouting Shedeur Sanders, you're scouting Travis Hunter, who they might likely take as well. Before we go around the league, Tone, here's just top of Matt Miller's board. Here, he's got Abdul Carter at 1. This is top 50. Travis Hunter at 2. Mason Graham is his 3rd overall player.
Yep.
Overall. So, again, all 3 of them are gone. Here's what he's got next. Jalen Walker out of Georgia at 4. Is he a perfect fit, though, for the Jags? As, Matt Miller's like, yeah, you could make it work. You could make it work in a 4-3. What is everyone's responsibility going to be in base downs? Who becomes the strong side linebacker if Jalen Walker's your new weak side guy? You moved Foye there last year. You moving him back to the middle? You're going to ask him to play strong side and cover tight ends because Devin Lloyd has never been great in coverage? I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. That's Anthony Campanelle's pay grade. But Walker, he's got at 4. Ashton Genty at 5. So he's right there. And how about this? Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end at 6, who depends on the scouting report I read about whether he's physical enough to be the type of tight end the Jags would be interested in. But I think if the Jags turned in the card with Colston Loveland's name on it, people would lose their ever-loving minds.
I would think so, yeah.
Right? Because most people are conditioned to think that Tyler Warren is the best tight end, and maybe he is in the class. He's got Will Johnson, the Michigan corner, at 7. He has Kelvin Banks at 8. Note, top offensive lineman on Matt Miller's board, right? Tyler Warren at 9. Armand Membo at 10. Jahdae Barron, the corner out of Texas, and then Will Campbell is at 12. Will other teams see it that way? Who knows? Campbell, would it shock you if he went 4th? No. It would surprise me if Kelvin Banks went that high because we haven't heard his name bandied about, but that's why it would surprise me. Yeah. I don't know what the Patriots are thinking about the offensive line evaluations and whether that's the direction they'd go if Hunter and Carter are both unavailable to them.
Well, and the conversation we were just having about Jalen Walker and what exactly is the position he would play, it's a similar kind of thing that you have to think out if you're going to go offensive line at 5, right?
For the Jags, right?
Like who's playing where, when?
Yeah.
For this football team, but it's offensive line, so there is no when. It's who are the 5.
Correct. But if you're drafting one at 5,
he's playing.
He's playing now.
Yeah.
Right? That's the when is now. And now if you think that, you could sit there and go, hey, we've got Walker Little. He's good enough. Maybe they don't think he's good enough, right? Maybe they don't. Maybe they've watched the film and they go, everyone thinks we've got a left tackle, so all quiet on that front.
I can understand them making it a priority to upgrade that position. It wouldn't bother me if that's the direction they go. But my hesitation with doing it when we do these mock drafts is,
then what?
What?
Right.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
I'll take a late tackle now in these mocks. I'll take interior offensive line still because I think they're ultimately going to be more replaceable. And if you're taking them somewhere after pick 36, there's not that immediate.
Right.
You have to get him on the field.
It's part of the comfort level I have with Mason Graham being the guy there at 5. Not only is he basically 3 or 4 on every list we look at like this, like Matt Miller, like he's right there in that kind of spot. He's the top defensive interior lineman in this draft in virtually everyone's mind going into the process. But there's also no question to me about, is he going to start for him? Yeah. Right? Like he comes in. Yes. He's going to have a major role on the interior of the defensive line for a team. And it's at a position where you rotate guys. So I don't need him to play every snap. On the offensive line, there's 5. Right? And at linebacker, talking about the Walker thing, there's more of a discussion of we're going to use them how and when with the other options that we have currently on the roster. Like, those kind of things come into play way more than they do in my mind with Mason Graham or any other interior defensive lineman they were to get in the 2nd, 3rd round, whenever.
All right, we'll get to our 7-round mocks coming up, but first, Tony Smith takes you around the NFL.
Now, Gems Around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Calais Campbell heading back to Arizona on a deal that's been announced this morning. A 1-year, $5.5 million deal for Calais going into his now 18th NFL season. Tampa Bay head coach Todd Bowles said this week that Bucs wide receiver Chris Godwin might not be ready for week 1 as he continues to recover from a dislocated ankle that he suffered last season. Godwin's teammate, cornerback Bryce Hall, who also suffered a dislocated ankle last season, is running at full speed in his rehab. Atlanta head coach Raheem Morris said this week that quarterback Kirk Cousins is not expected to attend the team's voluntary offseason program. San Francisco owner Jed York said on Tuesday that contract talks with quarterback Brock Purdy have been good and that he doesn't think that they are far apart on getting that extension done. Pittsburgh team president Art Rooney II said that all signs are positive so far in the Steelers' pursuit of quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Cleveland has signed wide receiver DeAndre Carter to a 1-year deal. Carolina is bringing back running back Raheem Blackshear on a 1-year deal. He's more of a return specialist there for the Panthers. And the NFL will be switching to Sony's Hawkeye virtual measurement system for spotting the ball and first downs instead of the chain gang, which should save time and potentially cut down on the complaints about one team or the other being favored with how the ball is being spotted, but time will tell on that. It was interesting reading through all the articles about that. None of them mentioned goal line. Like, it was all first down and measurement stuff.
Right.
I was like, is it going to be used for the goal line? Which is where I think why wouldn't it be?
Right. That'd be the most glaring time you'd expect to use it. But I'm not sure I'm clear on exactly what this technology is going to do. You know what I mean? Like, is it like there's a virtual wall that if you pierce that wall, it's an automatic first down if any part of the ball touches that? I'm not sure. There should be a way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know the technology well enough to tell you if they're going to have a whole bunch of problems in the first year or not.
And the chain gangs are staying on the field, even with it coming into play as like backup. A fail-safe, right, for what they're doing with this. I saw it's 4, 6, something like that, 8K cameras or something that they're using for it. It's like, okay. Like, I don't know what any of this means.
As long as every team's got the same access to all the cameras. Because, when it comes 100%. To replay angles, that's not the case. This on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Pessimism 101 right here. Jags playing checkers again, it would appear. Based on what? They should be ducking and weaving, bringing players into the building to deflect their true intentions. You got to play the game. Someone might want to move up, and the Jags have a key chess piece. Well, they're following, but what this is in reference to, they're one of, I think, 3 teams that are not having anyone come in for what's called a top 30 visit, right? Mm-hmm. You're allowed to visit with 30 prospects. Now, it's not like you couldn't visit with them at the combine or at their pro days and all these other things. So the Rams are the ones they're copying because that's where James Gladstone comes from. This is their philosophy. In other words, to not tip their hand. When you say they should be ducking and weaving to deflect their true intentions, well, the same could be said by not bringing in anyone. What are their true intentions? We don't know who they're interested in because they're not talking to anybody. Like, to me, I would get more value out of learning more about these players every opportunity I could take. And you could throw a few red herrings in there of guys that you're not interested in, but they feel like they can evaluate the prospects without an additional face-to-face meeting. And it has been tremendously. Look at last year. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. They didn't meet on a top 30 visit with the Rams. They seem to have done quite all right, and nobody knew what their intentions were. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's somebody who's been conditioned to think that anything the Jags do is going to be the wrong thing. That's what it feels like to me. But, hey, who knows? Maybe you'll end up being right. I'll tell you, I'm going to be right. We're going to get every pick right in this week's 7-round mock, at least from my standpoint. We'll throw them all away by next Wednesday. But 7-round mocks, let's unveil them. Coming up next on a Mock Draft Wednesday, this is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Every day we deliver more Jacksonville sports than...
Chance of Duval at a Jags game. 1010XL.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
Beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. This month, get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet cleaner. You'll get 25% off all cleaning services. That's right, 25% off. Check out 8,000 raving customer reviews if you don't believe me online. Call them, 904-287-5727, or visit their website, ZeroResJacksonville.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. If you're like me, as soon as you click yes to a subscription, you feel stuck. Starting Awaken 180 was the complete opposite because it's not a subscription, no fine print. Pay as you go, lose weight as you go. Awaken 180, weightloss.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark tonight at 7:05. Its charity begins at home featuring Connect Church. Then it's Thirsty Thursday and Fireworks Friday and Saturday. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. I9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight? But it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Joe C for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite Roofing Contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjax.com.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Hello,
this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Draft time. Mock Draft Wednesday. Only a few more of these coming up.
Yeah.
Also, programming note, Mike DeRocco will be in studio with us tomorrow for a nice full show off season. Our plan is to have John Shipley next Thursday, Demetrius Harvey the week after that, with our favorite non-embedded 1010XL guys. They're all 1010XL guys to one degree or another in my book. But joining us coming up, we got Pete Prisco on the horizon, Tom McManus on Friday, so a lot coming your way. It is Mock Draft Wednesday, Tony, so the chime has rung. Why don't you just take us from top to bottom? Any trades at all for you?
No.
No trades. Okay. Tell us who is available to you, like who was off the board with the first 4 picks, if you recall.
It was the typical 4.
Okay, Shedeur Sanders included. All right.
Well, no, Sanders wasn't off. I think it was because the Jets made an offer to come up from 7 to 5, but it was next year's second.
Okay.
Was what they offered, and I just said
I'd take it. In reality,
I'd take it in a heartbeat too. But I was like, it doesn't do much for me today because it doesn't affect anything else in this mock.
Right, and then it's hard to show that. Oh yeah, but I also have
that kind of thing.
All right.
So I just said no and went with Mason Graham there at 5.
Okay.
In the second round at 36, there's only a couple safeties that I would consider at 36, but one of them was there, and that's Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina.
Okay.
It's the first time that I've done that in one of these mock drafts. So I took him there at 36. Third round at 70, Elike Manor out of Stanford, the wide receiver at 88. Edge, Ashton Gillette out of Louisville, third edge for the team. Hard-working guy. Like you talk about the intangible stuff, everything you read about Gillette is that kind of stuff. Like just hard all the time. I think he'll be a coach's favorite wherever he lands. In the fourth round at 107, offensive tackle Anthony Belton out of NC State, specifically described as a gap scheme tackle, which is apparently what the Jags are going to be running. It's at least what Tampa was running last year. And then the second, fourth round pick there at 126, nose tackle Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon, rotational kind of nose tackle piece there for the Jags. Then in the fifth round at 142, running back Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. We've talked about him a bunch over the course of the last several weeks. In the sixth round at 182, center Jake Majors out of Texas. And then at 194, cornerback Noel Williams out of California. Man corner would seem to be his strength.
Yeah, I got him pretty late. I don't think either one of us are anywhere close. I don't think you're going to get him like outside of like round 4.
And it was more like I was like, I haven't taken a corner yet. I'm going to take a corner. Fine.
Okay.
Like Noel was still there, so I took him. And then in the seventh round at 221, linebacker Kobe King out of Penn State, who would be the more, we're having the discussion about who goes where. Right, for the football team, at least the descriptions of Kobe King, just thinking about it as we're going through it here, he's a middle linebacker. That's what he is. He's a middle linebacker. If he's going to play, it's going to be a middle linebacker. He doesn't have to play. It's in the seventh round. But if he does play, it would be there long-term in the league.
By the way, I every time we bring up the linebacking core, I should mention him more prominently. Ventrell Miller's got to factor in.
He does.
Here somewhere as well. I'm intrigued by Jalen Walker. I don't think it's a likely selection for the Jags if they stand pat, even if it plays out where Mason Graham is off the board. So, all right, there you go. Dylan Denmark, what'd you do?
First 4 picks this draft was, they were on some kind of something. Because the first 4 was Will Campbell 1, Abdul Carter 2, Travis Hunter 3, Armand Membo 4.
All right. So, all right. Cam Ward doesn't impact you one way or the other unless you got some trade offers at 5.
So 5, I just stuck with Mason Graham.
Okay.
Just went with the easy route. Second round, 36, went with Xavier Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame.
That's the other one I would consider.
Yep. And then third round, I went with my boy who Matt Miller said is going to be a good receiver, Jalen Royals, the wide receiver from Utah State.
Okay.
88, saying in the third round. I went with the offensive tackle from Boston College, Ozzie how do you say his last name?
Trapillo.
Trapillo.
I think
Okay,
so.
silent Y. Silent L, made as a Y. He's played tackles at both left tackle and right tackle a lot in college. Fourth round, went with a DB from LSU, Zy Alexander at 107. And 126, went with running back from UCF, RJ Harvey. Pick 142 went with Luke Kandra, the guard from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
182 went with Jonah Monaheim, the center from USC. 194, Ja Joyner, the edge from Minnesota, who I didn't care for but needed edge, whatever. Last pick, 221, went with the tight end from Notre Dame, Mitchell Evans.
All right.
So I kind of went all over the place.
Fair enough. What I told you at the top of the show, but if you weren't listening, I'll recap it. First 4 picks in my mock went Cam Ward 1, Abdul Carter 2, Mason Graham to the Giants, and then Travis Hunter to the Patriots. So this is kind of that scenario we'll be talking more about tomorrow. Those 3 position players plus 1 quarterback off the board.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, wow, it's wide open to me right now. I would love to trade back. So Chicago, and granted, the offer they get is probably tilted in the Jags' favor here. I got 10 and 41 for 5. I didn't know if they were coming up for Ashton Genty, what they're doing. In this scenario, they came up and drafted Armand Membo. They wanted their choice of the top offensive tackle in the draft, right? So could I see a deal like that happening? Yeah, but I think the Jags would probably have to send like a 4th rounder back in the deal to get it done. You don't often get necessarily the most balanced offers. Sometimes they are. Sometimes, like, you'll get 2 teams back to back. One's offering a 3rd-round pick. The other's offering a 3rd this year, a 3rd next year, and their 4th-born child.
Like we took a couple weeks ago, we were doing the mock draft Wednesday, and we both took a deal from San Francisco to move down to 11.
I got a full extra 3rd-rounder.
Well, I got the full extra pick.
You.
Yeah, it was like it was funny because you said what you got. And I was like, I did better.
Yeah, you totally did.
The computer did better.
They had they panicked when you were on the clock there.
Yeah.
All right, so when Membo, Will Johnson went at 6, Shador Sanders at 7, Kelvin Banks at 8, Will Campbell at 9, the way this played out. So Genty's sitting there. Denver wanted to come up. I actually got a lot from Denver, but I got 2 seconds basically to come from 20 to 10. Would they give that? Throw next year's second out. Would you drop back from 10 to 20 for a 2nd-round pick? I probably would. Because, again, I'm getting off this idea of I've got to have Mason Graham. I got to have Ashton Genty. I got to have Jalen Walker. I got to have that one guy in the top 10. So anyway, I ended up moving back to 20. I took Jahdae Barron, the Texas corner, who some think is the best corner in the draft. In this case, he's at best the 3rd one off the board. So that's how I set myself up. Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I typically find one of the defensive tackles that I'm interested in is sitting there at 36. Now, is that really what's going to happen? All it takes is one. May not be Mason Graham. Maybe it'll be Derek Harmon. Maybe it'll be somebody else. But anyway, when Tyleik Williams, with the 2 seconds I picked up, it was easy. I just went Georgia, Tate Ratledge and Jared Wilson back to back. Neither one has to start right away, but I'm open to it. Besh at 70 at wide receiver, Kyle Kennard at 88. Then I got a few different ones down the stretch here. Terrence Ferguson, the tight end of Oregon. It's like the last guy for me that I think really fits that was still available, what the Jags are looking for in an all-around tight end. Same as you, Dylan Sampson at 142, the Tennessee running back. Noel Williams out of California. You got him at 194. I took him at 182. I took Dalton Cooper, who's a kind of a project offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. And I'm sitting there at 221. I'm like, what do I want? There's like no safety that I want. I didn't get a safety, and that's the only thing I came up short on. So Kyle McCord was sitting there, and so I just took him as best player available. I don't think Kyle McCord's sitting there in the 7th round. I don't know.
Sure.
It's, for some reason, Jack Sawyer is the guy now that I have to consciously avoid. I think you took him last week.
Yes.
Because most people have him projected as a top 50-ish, top 60 player. And for some reason, all of a sudden, in the last couple of weeks, you're able to get him in the 5th, 6th round in these mocks, and which makes 0 sense, right? But so anyway, just looking at it, I'm trying to get in that mindset of not get attached to the 5th pick and taking a little bit less, moving back. What would I be open to? How far would I be open to moving back? I did one tone where I moved, just messing around. Moved all the way a couple of times. It wasn't one leap, but ended up trading out of the 1st round entirely and took Josh Simmons, who some think will turn out to be the best offensive tackle, and if he were 100% healthy last year, might be a top 10, top 5 type pick this year. You know, when you do that and you move back and you accumulate all this other draft capital, you can do that kind of thing and take a chance on a guy coming off an injury. And that was a lot of fun, too. I'm going to be very disappointed when the Jags are stuck picking at 5. And it's just right down the line, one pick, another pick. We got to wait all this time. I want all the picks.
Oh, I'm with you. Like, it's why I had it at number 1 on my top 5 yesterday.
Right.
Was the trade back. It's not that I don't think that's the thing that I would rather see them do rather than draft Mason Graham. I do. Like, that's what I would rather the outcome be in the draft, but I think thinking through it, I think the odds of them being able to get out of the 5th spot this year is something like 5%.
Well, the way I looked at it, I felt that, okay, you know what? Because Shedeur Sanders is there,
yes,
it's not crazy to think I could get some offers, right? So whether it's from Chicago or anybody else, I felt like, okay, there's a fertile ground here. And then Genty made sense as a guy who may be a top 5 player in the draft. And if you're a team who really wants running back and you're sitting there at 20, would you be willing to come up and get him to go along with Bo Nix as the centerpieces of your offense with the Denver Broncos? I mean, you could see these scenarios
and if they
plausible.
And if the door gets open to that kind of thing, I would hope the Jaguars would sprint through it.
I've always felt that way.
Yeah, it's in this year's draft, I think it's highly unlikely, and it is very specific things like Sanders not going to the Giants at 3. Like, I think they like that tripwire has to be tripped for them to have any kind of chance for any of this kind of stuff to happen in this draft. The slight possibility that someone would be looking to get ahead of the Raiders, maybe for Genty. And again, I think you'd have to sell it at a pretty big discount.
That's what I thought the Chicago offer was going to result in. They're jumping up to 5 and they're going to take Genty. And they're up. Now they got their Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Right? And you pair him with DeAndre Swift, and they've rebuilt that offensive line to a degree. So it seemed plausible that they would make a deal to
I'm not unwilling to make that deal. I'm very willing to make that deal. I'm very doubtful the deal will be there.
I hear you. And ultimately I agree with you, but you never know how teams are going to look at it come draft day and how they stack their board, and the fear that maybe they have a 4-man cutoff and Armand Membo is that guy. And they've just, hey, there's one other guy that we think is a true blue chipper, and we got a chance to get him at this cost.
Yep.
Should we do that? Yeah, time will tell. All right, we'll come back. Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. How do you think things will go between Trayvon Walker and the Jags when it comes to getting a contract extension done? We'll discuss on the other side on Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Door Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. 1. Frangie and Hicken on Mondays. 2. Denny Thompson and Hacker on Wednesdays.
Who's counting?
1010XL now has 2 original Gator podcasts each week.
One for you, one for me.
Search 1010XL Florida Gators wherever you find podcasts or visit 1010XL.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
We're giving away free AC inspections to our wonderful customers who now call and schedule. But you must act today. A deal this good won't last forever. Call 904-862-6769. DuckDuckAC.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can stand, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Before you buy that diamond ring at one of those mega national chain jewelry stores, get a second opinion and save money at Beard's Diamonds.
We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
Meet John Lupo, owner of Beard's Diamonds, the town center's only locally owned jeweler with international connections.
We go directly right to the cutters. There is no middlemen, no wholesalers. It goes from the cutter to the consumer.
And John says Beard's selection is second to none.
You'll walk in the store and you'll see more diamonds, more bracelets, more earrings than anywhere in Jacksonville. I guarantee it.
And at Beard's Diamonds, you get a lifetime warranty and a nationwide price protection guarantee.
You can buy with confidence at Beard's. Everything comes with a money-back guarantee, and we will make sure you're 100% satisfied. We stand behind everything all the time.
All this plus no commission salespeople and a total no-pressure experience.
We want you to be a Beard's customer, and we'll do anything to get it.
Beard's Diamonds, a refreshing alternative to mega chain jewelers.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Draft season is here, and so is Mia's Mock Draft Mondays. And this year, we're powered by One Night Taco Stand. Each week, I'll unveil a new set of possible targets for the big cats on the 1010XL social channels and 1010XL.com. Let's talk about it on 1010XL.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414 Sod for a free estimate. 7414 Sod.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, Daniel Jeremiah, Tony, you got some fresh, hot off the presses. What do we got cooking over there?
Yeah, he's got his top 50 4.0, and at the top, no big surprises. Abdul Carter 1, Travis Hunter 2. He's got Ashton Genty 3. That's the same order he's had those guys in, I think, on all 3 of his previous top 50. He's at number 4, Mason Graham. He doesn't move either. He's been there for a while for Daniel Jeremiah. Then at 5, up a couple spots from the last one, from 7 to 5, Jalen Walker, the Georgia edge.
I mean, I have no idea if the Jags like him or not.
Yeah.
You should, at this point, if you listen to this program, you should be well aware
but there are
that
a lot
he's
of thoughts
expected to be off the
circling
board.
around this. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I see mocks where he slips to like 12,
Mm-hmm.
but I see an awful lot of them where he is off the board to Carolina at 8 or, you know, whomever. And just, so it's not shocking. I mean, but Mason Graham is a more highly regarded. Well, not necessarily by James Gladstone. Maybe he is. Maybe Mason Graham's the number 1 player on the Jags board, for all we know. We have no idea.
Yeah. Then beyond that, just going through maybe the top 10, 12 here. Tyler Warren at 6. Colston Loveland at 7.
Wow. 2 tight ends in the top 7.
Yeah, that's the same order he's had them, but they're down a spot because he had our guy going up there, Jalen.
Walker, yeah.
Cam Ward at 8. He's a couple spots from 10. Jahad Campbell up 3 spots from 12 to 9.
You know what's going to happen with Jahad Campbell? Somebody in the 20s is going to draft him, and to some perennial playoff team, and everyone on the draft is going to go, oh, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
See, they're just getting a guy who's going to come right in right away. And, okay.
Will
It'll
Campbell,
be the Ravens.
Yeah.
That's exactly who I was thinking of,
Absolutely.
by the way.
Will Campbell at 10, so that's the first offensive lineman. Jahdae Barron at 11.
I got a bargain at 20.
And Armand Mimbo at 12 here on the list.
Marion Hampton. I mean, we can continue. Marion Hampton, another running back at 13 right there. And Will Johnson at 14. And your guy, Nick Emenwari, who you got at 36. Tony, completely unrealistic mock draft today.
Yeah.
No trades, but Nick Emenwari, you should have just restarted that whole thing.
I thought about it, honestly, when he was there. I was like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
Here's interesting from Daniel Jeremiah, okay? Whatever you consider Travis Hunter to be, cornerback, wide receiver, take him out of the conversation. At 16, wide receiver, Matthew Golden.
Mm-hmm.
At 17, wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka.
Mm-hmm.
At 18, wide receiver Tet McMillan. So, there was a time when Tet McMillan was, if the Jags weren't taking him in mocks, the Patriots took him frequently. I'm not saying he couldn't go there. I don't know what these teams think about him, and it's not a crazy, crazy deep wide receiver group, right? I mean, there are pockets, if you want one in the early second round, the value may just not be there unless you reach a guy up the board a little bit. Interesting, he and Matt Miller both have Shedeur Sanders ranked 19th overall, exactly 19th. I know Miller mentioned he had him around 20. I looked, and it was at 19. So, interesting. Michael Williams out of Georgia down at 22. A lot of people mock him in the top 10, top 12 range there, Tone. So, it's good stuff there. I enjoy the heck out of it. And, if Mason Graham's off the board, man, I just take a third round. Would you take a third rounder to move down to 10? I think I might. A high third round pick, that's another potential starter for your football team. And if it went that way, and it went Cam Ward, in some order, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, right? You're sitting there. Okay, that puts you at 5. You need 6 names to get you to 10. Both offensive tackles. Right, Membo and Will Campbell, if you're happy with either one of them. Ashton Genty as a possibility. Jalen Walker as a possibility. Would they go tight end with that pick if they move back? Yeah. Right? Right. It brings them into play a little bit more. Would any wide receiver, we haven't mentioned any wide receiver going in that scenario. Could another cornerback go to the Jags in that range if they loved one of those guys and felt he was a top 5 type player? So it wouldn't be that difficult to come up with a list of guys that would fit pretty snugly in the Jaguar lineup or locker room for that matter. Why don't we get to today's 10-10 take, Dylan Denmark?
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
All right, how do you think things will go between Travon Walker and the Jacksonville Jaguars when it comes to getting a contract extension done? This is prompted by Liam Cohen talking this week about how, they had some preliminary talks. They'll probably continue some more in the offseason. Right now, extension sometime in the future is getting about half the vote, just over half the vote. A third of the vote thinks that the extension will come this offseason. 10 or 11% think ultimately the Jags will use the franchise tag, and 5.2% think he'll leave after his rookie deal, which would be, in reality, 2 more years. This year upcoming, 2026 with the 5th-year option, which they certainly, if they haven't gotten an extension, will apply to Travon Walker, Tony. I think Travon will be. I think it's more likely that sometime in the course of the contract that they move on from Josh Hines-Allen and they ship the money to Travon Walker, and so as to not have 2 top 10 paid defensive ends on the same team. And then that's why, the idea of drafting your next guy who may be the third pass rusher now, in the case of if it's a Jalen Walker, he's got some value to play in base downs at linebacker, but you could project him long-term to be a starter opposite Trayvon. I think extension in the future, even though, I hate to go with the majority sometimes, you want to mix it up a little bit, but that's what I truly feel. I don't think there's a rush to get this done before the season starts. I can absolutely see them wanting to see how Trayvon projects. Now, that being said, the sooner you sign him, generally the better. But what does he want?
That's where I'm kind of landing on this thing is from a team perspective, get it done now.
Sure.
There's no reason to wait on any of this from a team perspective because he's obviously going to be a part of whatever the long-term plan is.
We think it's obvious.
Right? Like he's a good enough player that there's no reason to not just get it done, not have to think about it going into the future. But I think about it from Walker's side of it. And I think from Walker's side of it, especially when whatever contract, you would get whatever the big bonus check is up front. Right, and you can't ignore that part of it. But he'd be getting that big bonus check up front, and he'd likely be getting paid whatever he'd be getting paid. They pick up the fifth-year option. He'd be getting these next 2 years would look the way they look on whatever the next contract is with that big check in his pocket on top of it. And from Walker's perspective, am I willing, if you're going to come to me and try to talk that negotiated deal now, I think I would lean towards I can wait. Right? Like, I can wait. I think I can do better than 10 and 10.5 sacks. I think I'm capable of doing well above that. And the time that I do, especially if I do that over the course of the next 2 years, if he is a 14, 15 sack guy in the next 2 years, which he's capable of being, then you are going to be talking about getting towards the top of the edge market when it comes time to actually giving him the contract. So in my mind, I think I would vote ends up on the franchise tag for this team before they figure out what the deal is going to be. Not that there won't be urgency from the team to get the deal done, but I think it's going to take that amount of time before everything's aligned where there is pressure on both sides to get it done.
Yeah, I don't think it'll go that far, honestly, in my opinion. I think it's more likely now again, I'm open to the fact of being wrong here and they get an extension done this offseason.
Me too.
But once the season kicks off, option 2 is in effect, extension in the future. Now, I think it's more likely they pick up the fifth-year option. They let him play this year. They know they've got a year plus the franchise tag looming out there. And then next offseason, they say, okay, you know what? He was fantastic. He continues to ascend. Third straight double-digit sack season. Great fit with Anthony Campanile's defense and good locker room guy. We love him. He's the right age. Let's sign this guy now. I think that's, to me, the clearest one path. I can see all these paths except for leaving after the rookie deal.
I don't think there's any chance of that.
Right. I mean, that would come down to they pick up the fifth-year option, and then he has 2 disappointing years in a row.
Yeah.
And that he still thinks he's worth $30 million, and you think he's worth something considerably less. I just don't think it's going to play out that way.
Yeah, I generally, with these kind of things, lean towards the deadlines make deals. Kind of situation, especially with the complication of Hines Allen already being under the contract that he's under. Like, I think there are things that could extend this further into the future. I'm very happy that they're already having the conversations about what it's going to look like. Like, good.
I think if Trent Baalke was still here, we might already have it done. Honestly,
could,
right? Like,
that's his guy.
He's his guy, right? And he had been big on getting guys extended recently, and I think to the Jags' benefit overall. Even with Walker Little, like it goes this way, and I don't think this is the likely way it'll go, but if at pick 5, they love an offensive tackle. They're like, you know what? Let's move on. That contract, to me, has appeal to it. Like, Walker Little's just tantalizing enough, just good enough. He's not getting top of the market money. He's getting decent money. But it's not going to wreck your salary cap. And he has shown, he's got the athleticism. We think he can be a starter in the National Football League. I think he could be an appealing during the draft trade chip, but only if it falls a certain way. And I think it would almost have to fall in the way that we were discussing earlier with Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Mason Graham.
Right.
All off the board. I don't think they'll take an offensive lineman at 5 based on what they've done this offseason ahead of Mason Graham. You trade out of 5, and it opens up a whole lot of other possibilities, though. And so, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Again, extension in the future, about 200 votes in on this. Half of you think that's the path it'll ultimately take with Travon Walker and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Couple of quick ones here. Travis Hunter falling at number 5 in this mock draft. I'm seeing Emeka Egbuka. A lot of mocks. I'm seeing 1 or 2 of those receivers available at 36. It could go the way Matt Miller talked about, though. Ted McMillan goes early enough, it could start that chain reaction, down the line. It's fascinating. And you know what? Here's the thing. 3 weeks from tomorrow, we'll at least know what the Jags are doing with the 5th pick. Mike DeRocco in studio with us tomorrow for the entire show. Right now, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Mia O'Brien, you are the coolest cat in town.
I'm trying.
Right
now. I got leopard print on, so maybe
I know.
that's a jaguar print on.
It was. I saw it's probably a video that's been out there forever, but for some reason it popped up in my timeline yesterday of a honey badger fighting off 3 leopards.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right? 3 leopards.
I saw that video too.
Right? And that honey badger, man, they don't want to mess.
I kept waiting on all 3 of the leopards to attack at the same time.
Right. Like one of them, like the one that had him down and the other 2 are kind of wandering around. It's like coordinate a little bit on this. Anyway, what will the ladies be coordinating on today on Helmets and Heels?
We have a jam-packed show of plenty of friends of the program. Justin Mello going to join us to talk a little Titans, talk a little NFL draft of the Draft Network. Neil Blackman of Saturday Down South going to join us at 12:35 to preview the Gators and Auburn. And, of course, little Jaguar talk, little college football talk. We'll hear from our friend John Ozier, too. Of course, he did get a chance to go one-on-one with James Gladstone on Jaguars.com.
He did. We'll have some of that for you tomorrow on Jaguars Today. Have a great show.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be listening. And, of course, as we said, just 1 day away from 3 weeks out for the NFL draft. Denmark, if I asked you, have you ever been mellow, would that mean anything to you?
I've heard it. I don't know what it means.
Okay, it's a song title from like the 70s. Have you ever been? I think it's the title of it. Have you ever been mellow? That was one of the lines. It's by Olivia Newton-John, as a matter of fact. Never looked finer than she did in Greece.
Never guessed that.
No, I probably would not have guessed who sang it, but there you have it, because one of their guests' last name is Mello, coming up on the program. Not Carmelo, by the way. All right. No snarky Yankee dominate the world comments from me because we blew it in the bullpen last night.
That's a shame.
I know. So, but hey,
Not
day.
as big a shame as the Braves are to baseball right now.
Amen to that. All right. That'll do it for us today. For Dylan Denmark, he's going to the hyperbaric chamber as soon as we get out of here to rehab those quads. For Tony Smith, thank you to Matt Miller from ESPN. That was excellent. If you missed it, go back and listen on demand at 1010XL.com, YouTube channel, Twitter, wherever. It'll be out there. D-Rock in studio tomorrow, talking all things Jaguars with you. I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll reconvene tomorrow for more Jaguars Today on 1010X.